Hello, I am going live on Facebook and Instagram at the same time. I am Jeannie Lobato and the founder of CEO of drawchange, and I aim to do these videos every single Friday, but I actually have, ever since COVID happened, I wind up doing these videos as often as I can. And it's not for a lack of time, it's because I've found myself not being very motivated to film these videos. There's a lot going on in the world, and there's a lot going on for me internally. And I sometimes feel like it's difficult to put a smile on my face and be like excited and everything's great. And it's just that's not the reality for me in my world. Often, not always. I'm not depressed or anything. So today, and I have a topic, and also all of these videos for you Instagram people, all these videos are on my personal Facebook page. And I try to go live on Instagram also as much as possible, but sometimes, hey CJ, sometimes it's just not easy to go live both on Facebook and Instagram, so I tend to just do it on Facebook as often as I can. So today I wanted to talk about racism and what, in my opinion, drawchange does to combat racism. And one thing I wanted to mention is that when I talk on these videos, they are always from my personal perspective of what it takes to run a nonprofit organization such as drawchange, and what keeps me going. Hola, Diego. What keeps me going, to what fuels me to continue to run drawchange, essentially. And all these opinions are my own. They're specifically opinions. So if you disagree, you're more than welcome to disagree. This is just my perspective. So first and foremost, I've really been thinking about everything that's going on in the world in terms of racism, prejudicism. As all of you probably know, was born and raised in America, but both of my parents are not American. Both of my parents were immigrants from Uruguay, from South America, and I'm first generation American and have experienced racism my entire life, and overt racism. And honestly, it's probably one of the main catalysts that led me to starting drawchange, because I always resorted to art to help me understand the racism that I was experiencing on a daily basis. I was just talking to my friend CJ that's here live on Facebook, and he's like, man, I don't think I'd be able to film those type of videos when talking about something like so hot in society. And it's not easy, and what I want to say is that filming this right now is not easy for me at all. I feel vulnerable to other people's opinions, and vulnerable to, but that's probably mainly it, vulnerable to other people's opinions. So like I said, you're more than welcome to disagree. What I'm sharing is my personal experience. So going back to me facing overt racism my entire life, I grew up in an extremely diverse community in Jersey City, New Jersey. And from my perspective, everyone got along with everyone. And I always have said that I feel fortunate that I'm Hispanic. So the Hispanics in New Jersey or in Jersey City got along with all other cultures. And that's just the big fat lie. And that's just what I've always said. And that's, again, I'm saying this is one of my coping mechanisms with dealing with all the racism that was going on in my day-to-day growing up in Jersey City. And what I really want to talk about, I'll probably get back to that, but what I want to talk about is how, specifically, how draw change combats that. And um, how I personally have dealt with it. Like I already mentioned, that growing up and still till today, one of the number one thing that I resort to when I'm going through anything emotionally is art. And I realized this when I graduated, I went to a private art school. Shout out to Micah. When I graduated art school, I went into corporate America as a graphic designer, web designer, interactive designer for 10 years. And I quickly realized that what was missing from my life was the daily creation of art to just process the daily emotions that were going on. Because like I mentioned, I've experienced racism my entire life. And today I'm specifically talking about racism because of everything that's going on in the United States. I'm not sugarcoating anything today. CJ says, it's so important that you share your story. Your voice is powerful. Thank you for your courage. CJ, you're awesome. Thank you. So one of Draw Change's core competencies is self-esteem boosting, specifically self-esteem boosting. And the way we boost children's self-esteem is when we go into the homeless shelters, when we go into the poorest of the poor communities in Ethiopia and Costa Rica, we use art as a vehicle to boost children's self-esteem by, when they're working, we're constantly complimenting their artwork. We're letting them know that there are, quote unquote, no mistakes in art. That's a phrase that I've coined and I wholeheartedly believe. We actually don't even have erasers in our art programs because there are no mistakes in art, and we deeply encourage children to turn something that they might perceive a mistake into something beautiful, and 100% of the time it works. It doesn't happen without kicking and screaming because they want erasers, because us as a society, we're so accustomed to everything has to be perfect for it to be good, quote unquote good. And that's just not my opinion of art. I believe art is subjective, and I believe there are no mistakes in art. So we don't have erasers. So one way that we boost children's self-esteem through Draw Change is by not having erasers and by talking to them one-on-one and coaching them through whatever they created is absolutely beautiful. And if you don't think it's beautiful right now, I'm going to give you some ideas. I'm going to talk you through a way to make what you don't think is beautiful right now beautiful. Another way that we boost children's self-esteem is we specifically focus on the positive aspects of ourselves. We constantly create art projects around that. One of our projects is self-portraits. I'm not going to give you the whole title because it's entirely too long, but it's self-portraits that we sculpt out of different found materials, and we focus on an aspect of our face that helps us express to the world one positive aspect about ourselves, and that's like a handful. So what I mean by all of that is, for example, we always have a talk through before all of our projects, and we start talking about what aspect of ourselves we like. And sometimes children that are down and out cannot find a positive aspect about themselves. They're having a really tough time finding a positive aspect about themselves. And if that happens, we ask them, okay, what would you like to do? What would you like to be able to do that you feel like you can't do right now? So for example, one positive aspect about myself is that I am a good artist, visual artist. So on my self-portrait, I'm going to place a lot of emphasis on my eyes. If CJ, one positive aspect that he loves about himself is that he's a great singer, he's going to focus on his mouth because his mouth helps him be a great singer. If a child says that one positive aspect about themselves is that they're really good at helping their parents with their younger sibling, well, what you have to do to listen to your mom when she asks you to help her with your little brother, where you have to listen to her, so that maybe my ears would be really big on my self-portrait. So we do a lot of talking about that, and that's just a slight example. I don't want to take too much time about how we boost children's self-esteem. We do a lot of work with positive affirmations. positive, just focusing on the positive aspects of ourselves, and also always, always, always reminding the children that they're capable of fulfilling their dreams, they're capable of being anything they want to be in life. The way we work on that is we have them draw, paint, sculpt, whatever it is, whatever they want in their lives. So if that's a beautiful home, then they're going to paint, draw, sculpt that. If they want to be a professional football player, then we're going to draw that. And whatever you want, you're going to draw it. And in my opinion, if you can put something down on paper form or sculpture form, whatever it is, you're that much closer to achieving it. So that's another way that we boost self-esteem. And where this all ties in together to racism, because I said I was going to talk about racism, is that it is my personal opinion that people who alienate other people based off of their culture and the color of their skin, I believe that those people have a low self-esteem themselves. Plain and simple. Yeah, in my opinion, you don't have to agree. And I believe that those people in the world need draw change in their lives. I'm kidding, but not really kidding. I believe that if more people could be exposed to the power that they have within them to create beauty in their lives, the power that they have within them to emerge from their current circumstances if they're not happy with those circumstances, if people knew that that's possible, if people like really truly knew, not just like, oh yeah, I heard that before. Like if you knew it for yourself, that you can emerge from this situation if you're not happy with your current situation, I believe there would be a lot less room for racism if you truly believe that for yourself. So back to what I was saying with draw change, that is one of the things that we focus on the most, is boosting children's self-esteem. And I honestly can't say that I ever said to any of my staff, like, we're focusing on self-esteem today because all these children are racist. That never came out of my mouth. What I'm saying is that there's so much value behind having a healthy, I'm not going to even say high self-esteem, but behind having a healthy self-esteem. I believe that people that are racist because of generational racism, if that's a term. I believe they're racist because they themselves, and this is something that CJ was saying, that they themselves feel below the person they're being racist against. I believe they feel like they're stuck in a situation that they cannot get out of, so they are going to bully someone else. And who better to bully than someone who's already feeling down and out in their luck, because they're constantly put down by other people. So you get a person of color who is constantly told, you're not good enough. I'm not going to pay you the same salary because your skin color is that color. I'm not going to serve you first at a restaurant because you and all your friends are not Caucasian. You get people being told that again and again and again and again. I don't care how strong you are, you're going to believe it if you're not doing the internal work. So what we do as Draw Change is we aid children 5 to 10 years old to doing that inner work. I need to take a deep breath. I'm very passionate about this because, again, I speak from personal experience about being prejudiced against my entire life because of my gender and my race. Whenever I sign a form and Hispanic is not an option, I choose the most outlandish thing. Like Alaskan or Samoan are the two most far from who I actually am, and that's what I choose. And why in the world is Hispanic not an option? That could be a whole other video, but people who say racism doesn't exist, or who say racism has gotten so much better, or who say I don't have a racist bone in my body, I don't trust any of those three sentiments until I can experience it for myself. someone posted something on Instagram yesterday that said, I am choosing to see race, so then I know who what their struggles are. If I tell myself, if I act like racism doesn't exist and I act like I can't see this person's skin color, then I'm going to potentially treat this person like I would treat my fellow Caucasian friend and completely forget the struggles that this person might be facing just because of the color of their skin. I don't want no pity party, and I don't want absolutely anyone treating me any different because I'm not Caucasian. And at the same time, all I want is equality. And the children that Draw Change serves are 98% minority children. The children that we serve overseas are also minorities to their community. So 98% of the children, honestly, it might even be 99 at this point, are minorities. And excuse me, these children have typically been impoverished for their entire lives, as have their entire families, and they have been prejudiced against their entire lives. So they're coming to Draw Change already facing generational a generational unknowing that they can be anything they want to be in life, and a generational unknowing, I know I'm saying that weirdly, but generational unknowing that they can create beauty in their lives because their parents, grandparents, great-grandparents have always told them, this is who you are, and you have to struggle, you have to fight for what you believe in because you're going to be treated XYZ. And I'm not saying that's not true, because I'm coming and telling you that this is something I have dealt with. And I'm also saying that because these children are growing up being told these things, there's already an uphill battle. So not only are they at these homeless shelters and in these slums because they are monetarily poor, they are emotionally poor because they don't know any better. What they're being told, their parents are doing the best thing they could, and the parents are doing the best they can, is what I meant to say. Parents are doing the best they can, but parents have been facing this for generations and generations. So how do you break that cycle of poverty? That's my question of the day. How do you break that cycle of poverty? And the way you break that cycle of poverty is by boosting children's self-esteem. And the adults, this goes for the adults as well, but Draw Change focuses on children ages 5 to 10. You boost children's self-esteem, self-confidence. You empower them to know that they could be anything they want to be in life. You focus on collaboration tools so they know how to work together with people that don't look like them, and also with themselves. Because another part of all of this is that people of color in the United States, and again, I speak for myself, but I don't think this is just for me. People of color in the United States have grown up with a sense of struggle purely because of the way they look. And again, you could disagree or not, but this is emphatically my opinion and my experience, my personal experience. We grow up with a constant struggle, with a constant weight on our shoulders. And you could do all the inner work in the world. And believe you me, I've done a ton of inner work, I'll just call it self-help work, spirituality work to combat this. And sorry, I had a hiccup on this again. I have done a ton of work to combat this, and at the same time, things like what happened on, I believe, Wednesday in the United States is going to keep on happening, going to keep on reminding us. So, hey Jeff, thank you so much for your comment. So, it's easy to constantly be reminded that these injustices exist in the United States. And another thing I want to say is that every time something happens, people are fired up. And people are like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to treat people this way, and I'm going to do this. Yeah, well, what happened after 9/11? So as soon as 9/11 happened, and for weeks later, everyone in New York was nice to each other, in the United States, period. Everyone was nice to each other, everyone helping each other. A few weeks later, everything went back to normal. And again, I can speak from experience with that. So I experience that on a daily with Draw Change. I experience people promising me the world in terms of volunteering, and then they are hard and heavy for a few weeks, and then they trickle off. I know life gets in the way. I get it. But at the same time, we cannot continue to let life get in the way of situations like this, or else nothing is ever going to change. I believe people get lazy with the work that they need to do themselves to acknowledge that racism exists and know their self-worth / self-esteem to know that they can do something about it. I think I'm going to end this video right here. So do something today. Continue to do something. Learn about Draw Change and what we're doing to stop racism by boosting children's self-esteem. Donate to an organization that you believe in. Don't just say you're going to do something because you're on fire right now because something happened on Wednesday. Do it and then continue to do it. You don't have to do it. You don't have to go hard every day, but as long as you go hard consistently, thank you, Jordana. As long as you go hard consistently, you're doing something to break the problem. Because again, all of you that go hard, and what I mean by going hard is volunteering, being a social justice advocate for a few weeks to something just happened, and then all of a sudden your life gets in the way and you don't do something about it. Don't come to me later and say that you're doing something about it, because you're not. Thank you for watching. Again, my opinion, not anyone else's. My sole opinion. Find out about Draw Change at drawchange.org. Love you guys. Bye.